Hey, folks, for episode number 67 of the Rental Roundtable, we had on Dave Timpone at Luby Equipment, their 6 location group. We talked about all things marketing, particularly video marketing and the importance of that in the equipment space. And that's how it's really an untapped opportunity for equipment rental companies. We talked about social media and a deep dive in LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and the different things you need to do with one piece of content, how you can put it into the different channels and how they all differ in different areas. And last we talked about AI and how he's using AI in marketing to save a lot of time for pushing out more content. So if you've thought about marketing and equipment rental, if you want to learn more about video marketing in particular, you'll really enjoy this episode. Everyone, welcome to the Rental Roundtable, episode number 67. We have on Dave Timpone from Luby Equipment. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kyle. How you doing?
Good to have you on. So you're the marketing director at Luby Equipment. We're going to talk about all things marketing today. We've had on Don Hunley, who I know you're friends with before. I had an episode on that, but we're really talking about the video marketing side in today's episode, which I'm excited to talk about. So, Dave, just to kind of get us started, love to hear about your background, what you're doing now, and even going back 10 or 15 years. How did you get into the equipment space to begin with?
Okay, great. Yeah, so I started. I guess I started out at a Bobcat dealer, one of the largest Bobcat dealers in the country, Gateway Dealer Network, and at the time they were Bobcat of St. Louis. A friend of mine was working there and just said, "Hey, we're looking to hire a marketing person." They didn't have that position at all, so I was kind of coming in blind, and I went to school for marketing, so really just excited to get into that space. And really, it was funny when I first started there. The owner was like, "Yeah, we don't do a whole lot of marketing. We just, we do." And then once I started digging in, really, they were just kind of pressing buttons. So like they had Bobcat has a list of like direct mailers you can sign up for. So I mean, they were spending a lot of money on marketing. They just really didn't know that they were spending a lot of money. I mean, I think also the one of the first things I did was like, why are we spending money on yellow pages? So we got rid of that right away. But yeah, it was kind of and then just kind of touching on, I guess, getting into the video space from there. I mean, I always knew that video was something that we needed to do. Um, and I actually looked back recently on one of the first videos that I did, and I remember going to the job site, and it was just a customer running a breaker, and they were just taking out a driveway, and I got there, and this was like probably my first year of being at Bobcat, and he said, "All right, I'll give you time to set up." And I said, "Okay." And I grabbed my iPhone out of my pocket and I just, started shooting video with a phone. I mean, that's all I had. And that's all I
Yeah.
knew. I knew that this was, something we needed to get into. It just never really, it didn't click until finally, I started doing it years down the road. But I would get like audio testimonials a lot of times. And then finally
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I need to put the guy in front of the camera because it
Yeah.
makes more sense having somebody, on camera do, talking about the machines. But yeah, and then I guess, fast forward down the road and really how I got into the video side of it. Um, we hired a company to come in and do video testimonials, video marketing, and I was in charge of kind of the project management. So I would go around and I'd get the customers, I'd line up the customers, I would, and then coordinate the job. And so that from there, I would go out and also I would be on the job. I'd kind of see what these guys were doing. I would kind of, kind of study the questions that they were asking, and they did really good work. Um, and then when it came time for us to basically re up the next year with this company, I went to our owners at the time and I just said, "Hey, if you're if you guys want to go this direction, I'd be willing to take this on because they're presenting like they're going to do, 12 testimonials, one a month for us, right?
Hmm.
If you want, I'll do 40. Like
Wow.
I'll blow it up, right? Because I'm in
Yeah.
house. I can be on these job sites. I can, if you need me to go to Nashville tomorrow and go shoot a video, I can go do it. I'm also going into it the mindset of I'm not just going out there to get one piece of content. I can get five, six, seven pieces of
Uh-huh.
content while I'm on a job site. So that's kind of been every time I go into these testimonials or these videos, that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to maximize content. So So they said, yeah, let's do it. Bought me a drone and learned how to fly a drone, and it kind of took off from there. And then coming on board at Luby, I brought those same skills here. And the biggest thing for me when I first started there, it's just you got to get the buy-in from the sales reps too, because they're the ones that have control kind of over what customers would be good to go out and see.
Mm,
And so from an early on, I mean, and some salesmen are much better at it than others. I get a call from one salesman all the time. Hey, I got this customer. He's out here doing this. It would be a great video. Let's go shoot it. So, um, and then I think really tying it in to rental, that's kind of my goal too, is to promote rental through video. um, whether it's customer testimonials, job site videos, anything like that. So, I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. I mean, video marketing is part of my job, that goes along with everything else, but it is one of the things I've always kind of gravitate to when it comes
mm,
to promotion. When looking at how can we promote this, my mindset kind of it does go to video marketing.
mm. So just to make sure I understand, when you started at Bobcat of St. Louis, they were advertising in Yellow Pages. What year was this?
So it would have been like 2011,
Okay.
2012. So yeah, I mean, can you
Not
believe that
not
it was
not 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 1981,
right? It
2011.
was, and it was expensive too, right? And so I traditional marketing, like I mean, it's for me, it's a thing of the past. I mean, we still dabble in some radio here and there, but I
Yeah.
always like if we're gonna do anything like that, I always say first of all, it needs to be in a rural area where we're talking one or two radio stations are available, and then I always want the salesman to put his cell phone and everything on there. That way, we can at least track it in some way. I mean, it's the ROI is so hard to track on traditional marketing. So I'm a big proponent of digital marketing in that space.
So you took them from Yellow Pages to drones in what, a couple
Right.
years, right? I mean, the drone stuff,
Yeah.
everyone's becoming more used to that, but it sounds like you're probably pretty early on that on the drone movement too. Like, how did you sort
Well,
of start to see that?
it, in a sense, I mean, like I said, it did take a while because we did hire, we hired that company. I would say it was probably close to like 2018. And then I got into it more on like 2019, 2020, and really kind of took it from there. So it was, a little bit later in that time frame. But I was going out and shooting. They did finally buy me a camera and not just have my iPhone, but I was shooting just like regular shots with my camera,
Yeah,
and then finally, yeah, it was just picked up. I think the first drone I got was one of our salesmen. It was just his drone, and I just started
yeah.
flying it. And I mean, they're so easy to fly. Like everybody's always like, "Oh, I wish I could learn how to do that." I'm like, it really doesn't take very long. It's it's not very hard. I mean, there is something to it, right? When it comes to shots and what you're going to set up and everything, but they're pretty easy to fly.
I think it's funny when they ask you to set up on the job site and you're like, all right, set up. You pulled your phone out of your pocket and ready.
Right.
But
I'm
sometimes
ready to
those like,
go.
yeah, it's like, okay, ready. It's been 5 seconds. But those, sometimes those more organic, grainy iPhone videos feel more authentic, right? And potentially gain some traction. So, what sort of led you? Like, what's made you gravitate more towards the video side? There's 1,000 things in marketing, right? You've already mentioned some of the old school Yellow Pages, radio ads, et cetera. But what about video marketing in rental has resonated with you, and why does that work in this space?
I think probably from the start. I mean, I always thought the customers, right? Number one, I want to showcase our customers, right? I want
Mm,
to give them value as well. I mean, that's kind of my goal going into it. Um, and number two, it's a relationship with the customer. You're continuing that relationship, building on that relationship, and then it's really just you're seeing the results too. I mean, you're seeing the consumption. People consume video more and more and more, and it's getting even more right every year. It's the number one. I mean, I think it's 80% of people online are consuming video content right on a weekly
mm,
basis, right? So you're seeing more and more and more of it. From the rental space to again, for me to go out and I find out there's a job site, right? Of we have a dozer and an excavator running on a rental site. So I can go out and I can go shoot, get that overview of the site. That's one piece of content. I could also get an interview with that customer talking about why do you rent? What's the benefits of you renting? Why do you rent from Luby equipment, particularly? What do you see the benefits of that? So you're getting all those sound bites. So you could take that 30-second clip, right? And you could run an ad off that.
Mm.
And then obviously organically just blast it out. I mean, I'm putting it on LinkedIn, my personal LinkedIn, our business LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. I mean, literally everywhere I can put it, right? Instagram. So yeah, I mean, it's also attention and it's free. So, I mean, obviously they're paying me to do it, but to put out this content, it is free organic content that you can put out. So I'm seeing, success as far as organics. LinkedIn is probably our best avenue.
Mm.
We're reaching the right people on there just because I mean, I built a network on there too of industry, industry people on there, right? For myself. And then, so we're in between my account and Luby's account, we're reaching a pretty good amount of people on there.
So video content on LinkedIn is currently your best channel. What are like I mean, how often are you posting? How often should people be posting if they're getting into video and they're starting to post on LinkedIn? I mean, what have you guys found effective?
I mean, do you want the Gary V answer? Do you, so if it
I
was
want
if it
I want
was
the I
up
want the Dave T answer.
dates, well, I mean, I try to post daily. I mean,
Yeah,
it's I think it's yeah. I mean, is it hard? Probably not. I mean, I should be putting out content daily, right? Probably put and then Luby equipment is the same. Should be daily content. Um, I mean, I think you should be again probably daily would make sense. If you did 5 times a week, I think you're probably in definitely the upper percentage if you're doing 5 times a week. I mean, and that's you got to come up with the stuff, right? You got to have the
yeah.
content. You can't just um, so and you don't just post a post, right? You want to put out good quality stuff. So yeah, I probably think about posting and what I'm going to post. I mean, it's throughout the day and it might be an idea that just pops in my head. Oh, okay, I can reuse this. Like I repurpose stuff a lot too. I mean, it's,
Mm-hmm.
you can have a video that you did, you know, I did a, if you want to promote, Indeco breakers, I could go back and be like, oh, I shot this video, 2 years ago and I could take this and I could repurpose it and maybe whether it's different music or different shots. So, that is the advantage I think you have with compiling your own video content, right? You have
Mm.
all this library of stuff that you could basically pick and choose, like, okay, I'm going to put that back out. Cause I mean, I don't think people are going to, I've never had a comment to say, oh, I saw this one already. Right. I mean,
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they don't really, they don't watch it that closely that they'll probably remember that that's the video that they saw 6 months ago or whatever. Right.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. Do you find that the personal LinkedIn outperforms the company LinkedIn and gets more engagement that way?
It does. I think part of that is just because of my network. I built a network. I mean, so when you know, obviously when I was at Bobcat, I built the Bobcat network, right? I built
Yeah.
I went on Bobcat corporate and I added everybody I could find.
Hmm.
So when I was posting uh that content, I got engagement. So the first thing I did when I came to Luby is I already kind of had the connection to Takuchi because we actually sold Takuchi. They sold Takuchi at Bobcat, so I had some connections from there that I brought over, and then I obviously went and I added a lot of case construction as the other equipment that we sell at Luby. So I went on and I started adding everybody from case. Um, and so I do get a lot of engagement on my personal page, but I the other thing I do is I always tag, if I'm running a video on case, I'll tag case. They're actually very good at engaging with my personal page and Libby's page. Usually they'll go on and like it, and obviously if you're a regular poster on LinkedIn, the algorithm does it goes up. It gravitates when you get your stuff, when it likes and comments and everything, when engagement, right? It
Mm.
puts some fuel on the LinkedIn post.
Yeah, that's what I've heard is and that's my experience too. But the individuals who post get more traction than companies. I think the algorithms have weighted more towards individuals. So I've seen that, and obviously, like a lot of people don't do this very well. I think one person who does it well. Everyone knows Elliot Vigil, right? He's out there every day with his video content, and that's how you get your name out there. This is my experience, but I want to get your perspective. Do you feel like rental companies aren't really doing a good job on video marketing? It sort of feels like an untapped channel for a lot of these groups.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I would just say, yeah, with just, because we sell to a lot of rental companies. I think some of them do a good job on the social media side, but yeah, I would say there's definitely some opportunities for video. Whether because just touching on the company that I'm helping out a little bit, Denali. Some of the stuff that, well, they offer delivery, right? And a lot of
Mm,
these smaller companies are doing delivery, and I mean, they even offer free delivery within a certain mile radius. So that would be something to where, if I'm them, I'm taking shots of loading equipment and maybe even just, delivering that equipment to a customer. That would be an easy, delivery day. We do a lot of that actually at Luby. If
mm.
we're loading, if I see somebody loading a machine up in the yard, I'll maybe run out there and take some shots of them tying the machine down and just leaving the yard. I mean, it's literally just delivery day, right? Another rental machine going out to so and so customer. That would be something that I would look at. That would be an easy thing to do. Just some simple walkarounds of the advantages of an excavator over this size. Why would I want this size excavator over this size excavator? If you
Right.
have two of those machines in the yard. One thing I did talk to the owner at Denali. So I think he has a case machine and he has a Takuchi machine. So um, you could kind of tell that what's the difference between these two machines, and why would maybe talk about the benefits of both, right? But one has a roll up door, one has a swing out door. I mean, that's an easy thing to talk about, and maybe that's something that could be a little bit of value to a customer. And that's the other word I always go back to is like, you want it to add value. So if you could add value to a video or a customer, how do you go about doing that? And you know so yeah, I think there's that's an untapped market probably with these rental guys. um
It seems like a lot of it's not, doing anything crazy, just documenting the normal work, right? You're delivering a piece of equipment. You're probably explaining to a customer at some point the differences between the 2 different models, right, in your yard. Well, just record that in a sense, right? You're not
yep.
having to, like it's not I think of we used to work with, previous companies with, software for car dealerships. I think about the balloons and the car people, and it's like,
Right.
that's marketing, it gives you your attention, but, like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. Do I really want to see that when I'm trying to make a big financial decision on what car to buy? Maybe, but I think more interesting is like how do you add value? Because I'm a contractor, I'm a homeowner, a renter. I'm going about trying to solve problems on my job site. How can you help educate me? Even videos on hey, basic stuff of if it breaks down, what do you do, right? And
Yep.
and it's not crazy stuff. I think a lot of it's just recording stuff you're normally doing. So I guess my question is for a lot of the rental companies, some people you work with do this pretty well, but a lot of people probably aren't fully tapping into the video side of things. Like, how do you get started if you're an independent 1 or 2 location group and you're listening to this and saying, hey, I want to do some more video marketing. Do I need to go buy a drone? Can I use my iPhone? Like, what are some basic things I can do to get started on this?
Yeah. And I think you really could use your iPhone. I mean, I would start with an iPhone, right? You have a camera in your pocket. um it's probably a little better camera than I had in 2012 when I pulled it out of my pocket. Right now you got a 4K camera and video in your pocket.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would probably start with just you know that delivery, loading up a machine delivery, maybe highlighting some employees. That would be a good thing, talking about your employees and maybe getting their story a little bit. If you want to go to a job site and get a little, a few shots of the machine running. Um, I mean, you could do a testimonial. I mean, on an iPhone, if you wanted to get a quick, I've had
Mhm.
sales guys that have done that and sent it to me. Usually it's not the best quality, but it it works, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Feels
I
more
don't think
trustworthy almost. Like, yeah, I know,
it,
like, the high production studio, you're, like, almost a little skeptical, right? The
yeah,
paid actor, the iPhone grainy stuff is sometimes more real.
right. Yeah, I think, yeah, some of it, like when I go to these sites too, they're like, okay, is there anything you want me to do? I'm like, no, I want you to work. I want to
Mm,
see the machine working in its, in its element, right?
mm.
When I'm asking them questions, I'm not really trying to steer them in any direction. I'm just basically asking them, tell me about your company. Like, what do you guys do? What do and then it's kind of getting into, what do you like about the machine? What do tell me a little bit of the benefits that you see of the machine. And it's usually, five or six questions. And, um, but yeah, I think I think you can do it to a point. I mean, and then, from there, if you really are seeing results and want to get into it a little bit more, that's where maybe you look at, maybe I should, bring somebody in to do, a few different things, and as far as video content. But yeah, I think, that's always the other side of it too, right? You can tell these companies what they should do, and they're not going to do it because a lot of it is they don't have time to do it, you
Mm.
know, or they don't think about it. Like, as my mind thinks about it all the time, right? I'm like, oh, this would be a great shot here. You should do that, right? So I think that's what, whether a marketing person in my case is going to offer that, right? I'm going to say, okay, here's what you need to do, this, and this. And then a lot of times they're just like, well, how much is that going to cost? Because I'll just pay you to do it instead of, having me having me do it, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not a natural thing. Our marketing people, every time we're at a visit customer or wherever, he's always like, "Take pictures and videos." I'm always like, because I like to. But people like to, you have people who just like really like to do the work, and like anything that takes away from the work is like painful, right? Like I love, maybe you love renting equipment or talking to customers, and now you gotta spend 2 minutes recording a video. It's 2 minutes, but that's not how people think, right? And
Right.
people can accept that support. I think that's why it's also good to partner with groups who can do this for you. You
Yep.
mentioned on some of the different channels, right? So let's say, okay, I got my videos, I'm on the job site, got some testimonials. Then what? Where do I post it? You mentioned LinkedIn. What other channels have been working? Do you do, any paid ads running traffic towards these videos?
Yeah.
What channels have been the most effective?
Yeah, so I think everybody's kind of gravitating towards the short form video, and even the
Mm,
platforms are too, right?
mhm.
And even in YouTube's case, right? They have YouTube
Yeah,
Shorts now,
yeah,
and so you're seeing um, a lot of the short form videos. I think are performing a little well as far as engagement. So
yeah,
usually what I do is, my mindset is, I'm gonna get a 1 to 2 minute testimonial. That's usually the kind of the max, is like the probably my, if you've seen any of my testimonials, they're usually about at the max a minute and a half. Usually they're closer to that minute. Um, I usually like to take little bits and pieces of that too. So if I find a little spot where that customer says, "Oh, this is great," right? They said, "I love working with Luby equipment, and because our sales rep X, is done an awesome job," right? I'll take that little soundbite, and I'll organically post that too. I'll put that out on LinkedIn, YouTube Short, Instagram Reel, Facebook Reel, TikTok, and then I'll run an ad on that.
mm,
Usually I'll run ads if I see something that is performing organically well.
mm,
Then I'll say, all right, I'm going to put a little money towards that, and a lot of the ads that I run are going to be on Facebook.
mm,
So Facebook is really lost a lot of organic reach, but it's still a free post, right? If you put out a decent, pretty good content, I mean, it's still going to get a pretty good reach if people are engaging in it, right? Um, but I've noticed on Facebook, usually I'm going to have to kind of put a little money behind that ad, and it's not a whole lot of expense to do, but that way you can target too. You can pick your areas. You can pick, somebody that likes skid steer loaders or track loaders, or, in a sense, you can even put some rental keywords in there too. Um, but yeah, that's, the short answer is everywhere, right? Anywhere that
Mm.
allows you to put content out, if you got a good piece of content, you want to put it on all these platforms.
Yeah, and once you get the content, then you can spread out. Like LinkedIn sounds like for individual posting, they're getting organic traffic there. Facebook, I've experienced that too. You do need to spend money on there. You know, I guess why
Yeah,
Zuckerberg has 40 houses, but you do, but you don't have to spend a lot of money, but enough to kind of get the traction there. Are you seeing
right.
anything on TikTok? Have you gotten any traffic from TikTok yet?
Yeah. Um, I mean, you can have 0 followers on TikTok and get thousands of views, right?
Yeah.
So it's kinda crazy. Like, I mean, I started my personal TikTok page just to kind of post some videos here and there, and I just posted one of 2 dozers running, and I literally probably have 3 or 4 followers, right? I just started my,
Yeah.
personal page, and it got up to about 1,000 views already. So it's I mean, you don't need the actual followers on TikTok
Mm.
just because it's as long as the algorithm sees people are engaging in it, it's gonna push it out. I mean, so I've noticed that on some things that we've done. I mean, some have done really well. I mean, like TikTok too, like a lot of people are posting goofy stuff that usually does
Yeah.
very well, right? I kind of still stick to the professionalism. I'm just taking a clip of some of our better performing ones are it's either equipment running, like a 30-second
Hmm.
shot of equipment running, or it's maybe it's a clip of that person talking over some B-roll of equipment, and then it allows you to actually add captions in TikTok's very easy. The editing tools in TikTok are very user friendly, so
Mm.
that's something too where I could go into Adobe. I use Adobe products usually for editing, Adobe Premiere. So I could basically take that video in Adobe Premiere and I can upload it to TikTok, and then I can kind of play with it in TikTok and edit and add some speed ramps and some different things. And then obviously the music and TikToks, you can grab anything, right? So to be able to grab that, professional or any type of music you want, and then you could actually pull that back out. So then I've been doing that. So I've been downloading it from TikTok and actually posting it onto then different platforms.
Interesting. It's interesting you take one video, right, and then and then you present it in different packages based on the channel, right? So like Facebook, you're running ads. LinkedIn, you have to have a lot of connections, but that's free and you get a lot of traction from an individual page. TikTok, you don't have to have any followers at all. It's very different LinkedIn, right? But it could go viral if you sort of, and that's more of engaging, sort of funny thing. Are there any other channels like that you've seen success with? I mean, YouTube as well. Have you seen traffic there?
Yeah, so YouTube, you can still long form still works on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Um, in terms of rental, I mean, if you wanted to get into that, you could actually get into um, maybe you could have a sales rep talk about the benefits of rental or these are the benefits of we could even get into like rent to own if you want to talk about sales reps from that standpoint, but you could kind of you could play with the long form on YouTube. So yeah, I've been seeing some pretty good success on really with YouTube. It's how to's, right? And what can you do from there on the rental side, right? How to I mean, it could even be we could even bring in service. As a dealer, we could say, this is what we do when this rental machine comes back in, this is how we inspect it or go through the
Yeah.
machine, right? So there's some different tie-ins. I mean, because I was kind of thinking about that too, like a rental company and a dealer I believe that it's almost two different customer bases to in a sense, right? Um, the dealer in my mind, you're really we're working with a lot of current customers. These are people that have bought equipment from us that maybe need an excavator. They have a skid loader, like, oh, I need to rent an excavator, so they're going to call us because they have the relationship with us.
Mm.
Maybe it's attachments, like, oh, I need an attachment for this job. I'm going to call my sales rep, or I'm going to call Luby Equipment because I have the relationship. Um, with a rental company, I mean, and I could be wrong just because I don't have the data, but I believe it's more, you're probably homeowners and even people that are not contractors that are just or they are just, they might not have any equipment and they need to rent something. So I guess it's just, I probably need to do a little bit more digging around that, before I, state facts that I don't exactly know. But that's my, I guess I have more of a grasp on R at Luby,
Yeah.
that it's current customers, it's people that we've done business with. And then from the rental side, it's, and we at Luby, like some of our sales reps, we do promote a lot of our or rental guys that they buy from us.
Hmm.
If we don't have it, we're going to push them to them, say, hey, go check out Denali, or go check out Expert Rentals, because they have this machine in stock. So I think it's a partnership there too.
Yeah. Well, earlier you mentioned around performance and your understanding, like what's, you mentioned like, oh, this is performing well, this isn't. What are some of the metrics you look at to understand performance? Because at the end of the day, like you want it to be an ROI, right? You want to be able to track that through harder with the yellow pages than where we are today.
Right.
But when you look at like the top key metrics, rental companies should be looking at when they're running ads or putting organic videos out there. What do they look at?
I mean, engagement is probably one of the top ones for me, just because, yeah, you can pay money and get people to look at stuff all day, right? But
Mm,
you do want to see some engagement. You want to see some comments and some likes and some shares. Um, Obviously, you want to, if you're running an ad, where are you running it to? Are you running it to a landing page? Are you running it, to just to your generic website? Like I would probably, like, I build out landing pages usually for Luby, right? And I want to run it to a particular page on our site. So are we getting form fills? Are we getting phone calls off that site? So you can track all that with a pixel. Are you actually getting the return? Facebook ads, I still go back to, like, I do see, like, I run ads. Yes, I want to get conversions.
yeah.
Of course, right? That's the end goal. But are you branding, right? That's the other thing. Like, you still want to be branding your product and being in front of that customer, because it's hard to track. Like, it's always hard to track that final phone call that customer
Mm,
picks up the phone and then they call. If you're a smaller rental company, hopefully you're asking, hey, how'd you hear about us? Hopefully, I mean, and even Luby, I mean, I've always said we need to be asking that question, right?
mm,
Because it's hard for me to measure exactly what I'm I'm doing without that aspect of it, the phone calls. I mean, obviously Google and Google My Business, or whatever it's called now. Like, those listings can, at least you can track, like, organic clicks to call on there. You can track, on Google Ads, that'll give you how many people are calling off your ad and everything like that. But yeah, I that would be the main thing. Conversions, and engagement are the two main things for me. I don't get into a whole lot of the views and stuff like that. I mean, you know, we- if looking at TikTok, I'm only doing TikTok because it's free and
mm,
because I'm getting branding out of it. I mean, I don't feel it would be very hard to measure any kind of conversions off that. I mean,
mm.
it's branding, and that's the main thing.
So I think it's a lot of nuance here. You're like, in some sense, here's the one video of the one testimony at the job site, right? But then you slice it to different channels. And TikTok, really, it's very top of funnel. We're not looking for conversions, right? That same video is just top of funnel. Now, that other video on a Facebook ad, you may be trying to drive more traffic and have a higher bar. It's interesting, like, because a lot of people kind of put video marketing or marketing, digital marketing into one box, and it is, but there's a lot of nuance into what your objective is. And I do think if you're trying to convert leads, I mean, would you agree that you really need to have a landing page that's designed for conversions? Like, you don't want to just be sending people to your main website. You need to be driving conversions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can you talk about why landing pages are important?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I actually click on ads just to see sometimes, like, even our competitors. I'm like, where are they sending them? And a lot of times, I'm like, if I click on it, I'm like, all right, good. It's going to just some page with a bunch of information that you don't need, right? So yeah, what I found, at least on Facebook, I've dabbled in running ads to where you fill out a form on Facebook, keep them on Facebook. I think that would work with some of these rental companies. I do think there is something there
Yeah.
To actually keep them, because people don't want to leave the platform that they're on usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see that in this in when you measure the how many people are going to your site from Facebook. Usually they're going to your site for like 5 seconds. It's not very long, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yes, I think there's something there that you could. For me on the sales side, I don't want to do that. I want to send them off to a landing page. So to your question, yes, you want to basically build out a page, whatever you're running an ad on. If it's a rental equipment on, let's just say a larger excavator, larger equipment, right? Build out a page that's geared towards that equipment. Maybe have those 3 pieces that you have in stock on that page with clear call to actions, right? You want to
Mm-hmm.
have rent me, rent it, get a quote. You want to have 4 or 5 call to actions. You want to have a form on there. You want to have your phone number on there. So that way you're at least sending them to a page that is a lot higher conversion rate that you're going to see there instead of just sending them to your main homepage on your website. So I would imagine most companies are not doing that. They're just sending them to a page on their site or to their homepage on their website, right? So I think if they put a little thought into that, I think they're going to see some conversions go up from there.
Yeah, but we've seen in other spaces we've been in, but everything's the same. You change the bottom of funnel landing page, and let's say you were getting 5 leads per day, like it'll double 10, and you're
Yeah,
like nothing changed, but the page is like more streamlined, and it's crazy because people are like, "How did my business double?" It's like, well, you're like the point, like the decision point where they're deciding to give information. You make that as clear as possible. And if you really get into this, right, you can do a lot of A/B testing to really streamline this. But there's also like off the shelf landing pages you could, templates you could buy, right? There's partners out there, and you can design it yourself. You
sure.
can use plot. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But biggest thing is
Yep.
try anything besides whatever your generic. Don't just send them to your homepage unless you're just trying again top of funnel awareness. You don't care about a conversion. If you're tracking for conversions, you need to have a design landing page, right?
Yeah, 100%.
The other topic I want to talk about briefly is the last topic is AI and how that has changed marketing. I don't and maybe broadly marketing for you for rental companies, maybe video marketing as well. But how are you using AI today and to streamline the marketing efforts you're working
Yeah. So I mean, I would say the number one, the biggest thing is time, right? It's saving me a lot of time utilizing AI. So, and I guess just one way I use it that ties in with rental and video marketing. So let's just say I go out and get that customer testimonial, right? I go to the job site, I get the 1 to 2 minute testimonial. I probably have 10 minutes of audio or whatever. So I'm
on?
cutting all that down. So I could either take that 10 minutes of audio, I can pull the full audio out, right? And I could plug that all into the main one I use is ChatGPT. I could plug that whole transcript into ChatGPT and I could say, all right, create a blog post based off the transcript of this audio. So it gives me great organic content, right? Because I'm putting in organic content into ChatGPT and I'm basically saying, strip this down and create a blog post based off this. The one thing I will say just to be careful about is you do need to go through there. I mean, it'll spit out a great blog, right? And give headers, give everything, right? And a call to you want a call to action, put a call to action on there. Tell it to put a call to action on there. So I think but you need to go through it because it does every once in a while. It'll kind of get a little funky with the wording of it. But yeah, I use it. I use it quite a bit. I mean, I use it for some of my when it comes to posting how much I post. Some of the copy I won't use it verbatim, but I'll maybe type something out and say, okay, I like that. But it's almost like I was thinking about it the other day. It's almost like another person, right? To say, hey, can you
Mhm.
look at this and tell me if this looks okay? Is there anything you would change? So I think that's kind of the way I use it is I'll plug it back into ChatGPT and say, you know, maybe create some multiple versions of this. And it'll spit out, 5 or 6 different versions of my copy. And I'll say, okay, I like this piece. I like that piece. Maybe I'll take this. Maybe I'll take that. And maybe I won't take anything. Maybe I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to stick with what I have. So I think it's just another avenue that you can actually kind of bounce some ideas off of. I mean, and you can really get into, I mean, even like when it comes to, I dabble in some website stuff, WordPress. If you want it to build a website for you, it'll build a website for you. I mean, if like if you say I want this all in HTML, I have these services with my site, and it'll spit it out. So I mean, I'm probably scratching the surface on what it can
Oh
do.
yeah.
I think most people are, but yeah, it's another tool, and I think most people are using it probably in my marketing space right now. I would think that most people are probably using it. I mean, I'm mainly using ChatGPT. I know there's a bunch out there that I'm not even looking at too. Is there anything that Kyle that you've used that you see that's helping you?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Our marketing guy, we have like 9 different tools. He is like the guy who does it more than me. You know, our whole company, we use ChatGPT as another person. I think it's important though, like for us, like I would never, I don't use it to, I won't be like, hey, can you write me a blog post? And then they do the critical thinking. It's more like I've written it. I've spent the time to write as a normal do. Can you improve it and tweak it? Right. So I think that's where you get in
Yeah,
dangerous. 'Cause you can really tell. Like I got an email from someone last week. It was, I'm not going to out them, but it was very clearly a ChatGPT written, like
right.
very long, like multiple M dashes. I'm like, I've gotten emails from you that are usually
Yeah.
2 words. And I actually appreciate the 2 word emails because I know that is you. And, like, are we just at ChatGPT sending emails back and forth? I hope we don't
Yeah.
get to that point in society, but I wonder if we're not that far off already.
So that's the other giveaway. I always see the dashes, right? Like
The
they
dashes.
love
Yeah.
ChatGPT loves the dashes, and yeah, I usually try to go through there, and I guess going back to the blog thing, like obviously I'm putting if I'm putting in organic content, I'm hoping it's putting out that organic, because you do want, obviously you want that organic, because like if you think about, I do think about like like even on the rental side, you're going to say, all right, write a blog on the benefits of renting a skid steer over a track loader, a tire
Mm,
machine or a track loader. Compare the two, and how many times has that been put in ChatGPT? Right? I mean, how many?
mhm.
So you could be putting in, like, if you copy and paste that, are you just putting out on content that's already on Google because somebody else has done the same thing, right? I mean, I guess you could say make this organic and plug in Luby equipment, or however you want to do it. But I think if you're going to write, yes, blog content and stuff like that, you need to make sure that you're going through there and cleaning it up, and so don't rely on just AI. Or
The other thing I was gonna ask about is, we're starting to see, obviously everyone goes to Google, right? Searches for us, like they'll search for equipment rental software, right? We have SEO, we're trying to rank.
yep,
What's happening now where people are searching on ChatGPT,
yeah,
and the question is, how do you rank in ChatGPT? Because we have now gotten leads that we can trace back to ChatGPT, and that's a whole new frontier, right? It's
it
almost like
is.
when the search engines came out, I don't know, whatever, 20, 30 years ago, that people started to realize internet marketing was important. Like
Yeah,
people are searching for things on ChatGPT, and that's like a new lead source. And I don't know how you rank for that or what you have to do to get involved in that. I don't know if you've gotten into that yet, but we're starting to see that's a real channel now.
yeah, I agree with that, and I I fall victim to that, right? I do some searching in ChatGPT instead of Google now. So one thing I saw, and this was it was about a month ago. So, and it was a very like exact thing that I put in Google, right? So we had a used machine that we were trying to sell, and I don't remember what it was, a 2012. It wasn't like a case branded; it was like an off brand thing. So I was trying to find specs on it. So I plugged that exact machine into ChatGPT, or not. No, I'm sorry. I plugged it into Google, and Google actually spit out our listing because we
Mm.
were probably the only one, and it was an AI driven listing, right? And we were probably
Hmm.
the only one that had that machine online, right? So it said, check out, this machine from Luby Equipment Services. And I was like, is it doing that just because I'm searching it? And then so I had some other people do it and it did the same thing. And I was like, that's pretty cool, so to have, machines listed online and then you're being recommended as the dealer for that machine, right? So I don't know. It's yeah, it is kind of crazy that where it's going to be going, because I do see that the more and more. I mean, obviously Google's billions and billions of searches. ChatGPT is probably in the millions. I mean, but who knows where it's going to be in 3 or 4 years, right? I mean, so yeah,
It's
and
getting up
then
there.
yeah,
I think they have, they have 700 million users now on ChatGPT.
okay,
And we're seeing leads from it that we don't really know what to do with. I think what I've heard is like if you own the assets, so like we have some like rental calculators, things like that. Those rank really well, so that's
yeah,
helping us. But the other part of this is with the Google AI. You mentioned that, right? That like people aren't clicking to the links anymore; they're reading the Google summary.
right,
And a lot is changing in digital marketing. But I do think actually this kind of goes tied back to the beginning though, like video marketing though, right? I think if you want to do AI stuff, that's going to be hard to rank for. It's going to be more complicated. We're going to have to figure that out. But the video side continues to grow, right? And AI is not doing
does.
videos, or if it or people don't want to see AI videos. I feel like that's the case. So um,
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, and if you're putting out relevant content on all these platforms, they're all ranking. I mean, if you're searching for if you're putting out rental keywords on a lot of your video marketing that you're doing, YouTube's ranking, Facebook videos rank. People are searching. Not only your website, but all these other,
mm,
all these other platforms are ranking. I did read the other day. I think Instagram, and I don't know if Instagram, I guess, wasn't ranking on Google before, but now their content and copy and everything
mhm.
is going to start ranking on Google as well. So
The times they are changing, but I do
yeah,
love the video marketing side. I think a lot of rail companies that's low hanging fruit. And but we talked about with landing pages, even just creating landing pages for your content is. I mean, there's still big wins to be had by rental companies who work with professionals like yourself or other professionals who know this stuff. And most rental companies are not doing digital marketing really well. And I think that's an opportunity for everyone. So,
yes.
Dave, I appreciate you coming on today. It's been fun talking to you. We never had anyone talk about the video marketing side of equipment rental, which is really important. Final question I have best career advice you've gotten, or any advice you've gotten in your career that's helped shape your success and what you've been doing?
Uh, best career advice. So I guess it just goes back to I do a lot of consumption when it comes to even podcasting. And I get a ton out of, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. And
Hmm.
I think every time I listen to him, it's just, I always get something out of it. I always get,
Mm.
and it's always like, create more, put out more content.
Yeah,
So
right.
usually after I listen to him, I'm like motivated. I'm on fire, right? I'm like, all right, I got to do this or I got to do that. So I think just overall in general, I mean, if anybody has anything, social media related and looking to do, how do I get started? How do I do that? I would say I would recommend go buy a book from Gary Vee, go listen to him, because he is putting out some of the best content out there for free. And so that would be my go-to there.
Content is king. A lot of it's just around consistency, right? Like you said earlier, no one's going to say, "Oh, I've seen this video before." People, you just got to keep being in the conversation. If you want to grow your business, you have to be top of mind. The way you be top of
Top of
mind, you
mind.
got to be
Yep.
relevant, and constantly putting content out there. So it's a game of inches, consistency, like most things in life. So
Yes.
um, it's a good reminder, Dave. But thanks for coming on, and appreciate you coming on the Rental Roundtable
Yeah.
today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.